Good afternoon. My name is Mark Estrada, and today I'll be discussing a set of air transportation regulations that directly impact aviation safety. Um, this presentation is for the Transportation System class with Professor Jason Fry as the instructor, and today is July 20th, 2025. So, why air transportation? I chose air transportation regulations because of their comprehensive and far reaching nature. These rules don't just affect airlines or pilots, they touch every part of the industry and ultimately exist to protect passengers like all of us. Um, they're the reason flying is one of the safest modes of transportation in the world today and one of the most used freight modes of transportation for logistics. I chose this particular set of regulations because of their impact. They affect everything from how planes are built to how air traffic is managed. The complexity and interconnectedness of these rules are also fascinating to me. For example, a change in maintenance standards might also require retraining pilots or adjusting their schedules. There are also the invisible safety net, making sure the aircraft is structurally sound, the pilot is fully trained, and professionals on ground are monitoring the flight path. Regulations like these are in place to mitigate transport risks and they comply with regulations. Their compliance with regulations is always required and is the first in line of defense in safety. So the first regulation is the aircraft design. These are primarily governed by the FAA and other international bodies. These rules set extremely high standards for how planes are engineered, tested, and certified. They cover everything from materials used all the way to how the cockpit is laid out. This affects operations significantly. Aircraft manufacturers like Boeing or Airbus must spend years developing and testing new models before they can even carry products or be within the logistics supply chain. For example, crash testing, wind tunnels trials, and computer simulations are all required to prove safety of the assets while being transported. While this raises development costs, it also means that planes are built to withstand extreme conditions and failures. The next regulation is maintenance. Maintenance regulations require airlines to follow strict, scheduled servicing routines, daily checks, weekly inspections, and deep overhauls after flying for certain hours. These can interrupt operations, but it's vital. Airlines must remove aircraft from service regularly for detailed inspections, and this can be delayed flights or they can increase costs. However, this system is designed to catch issues like stress fractures, oil leaks, or any mechanical wear before they lead to accidents and loss of the assets. Next is pilot regulations. These cover their certification, recurrent training, rest periods, and even mental health screenings. For example, US pilots must log at least 1,500 hours of flight time before flying commercially, and they must undergo regular simulator training to stay sharp on emergency procedures. This affects airline staffing, scheduling, and costs. Airlines must not only hire qualified pilots but also invest in ongoing training and ensure pilots aren't flying while fatigued. This may limit the number of flights, but it also ensures that pilots are alert and ready to respond in critical situations, such as a bird strike or unexpected turbulence. The next rule is the air traffic control, also known as ATC. This ensures planes are spaced safely in the air and during takeoff and landing. Controllers follow strict procedures for sequencing, altitude, and rerouting due to weather or congestion. This can delay flights, especially in busy airports or stormy conditions, but it keeps the skies organized and collision free. For example, without the ATC, there would be chaos during peak travel times. Um, these systems also integrate with aircraft avionics to automatically warn pilots of nearby traffic. So, my takeaways from this research are that I learned how incredibly important and interconnected the aviation safety system is. It's not just about reacting to accidents. These rules are built on decades of data and they're always evolving, always moving towards perfection and um, ultimately safety refinement for the assets while being transported. And each regulation, whether in design, maintenance, training, or traffic control, relies on the others, just as the supply chain has many processes. This too has many processes. Together, they create a safety culture whether every decision prioritizes life over profit. These costs of these regulations are high, but the reward is even higher. Millions of safe flights every year, and a system that works for the logistics and supply chain processes. Thank you for watching and listening.